Okay, so we have a beautiful container here. This is actually Corten steel, and it's gonna slowly rust and get this nice like ruddy, reddish rust color, obviously, and that's basically the final version of it. You're starting to see maybe a little bit come through now, but it needs to take some weather and humidity and rain in order for it to rust over time, so it gets this real nice look. And it's very modern. Sandra just finished the side of the house, so it's very sleek. We still have drywall tape on the windows so the birds don't hit them. We're waiting for screens. But actually, ironically, I used drywall tape in here in the holes on the bottom of here so the soil doesn't come all the way through. So there's a little technique for you, or a little tip. You know, typically I use the plastic that they have that you do crochet on, but I didn't have that handy and I had the drywall tape, so I just used that. But we're gonna be planting some chocolate event lilies in here. I might actually do some pineapple lilies as well, but I think that the real showpiece is gonna be the chocolate event lilies. And these are gorgeous lily, again, recurved petals, but they have this kind of melony salmon tone with this maroony rust color kind of splotched throughout. And I think with the rust color of this and the rust color of some of the red leaves of the plants that you can't see because we have no leaves quite yet, I'm going to do that. But so I think it's going to look really good. I mean, these get pretty beefy, about 4 feet high. I'll show you the bulb. This is what it looks like. They get about 4 feet high, so they could be pretty towering. They usually don't need to be staked. They're pretty sturdy. And they're a great cutting flower as well. I should say that lilies are great cutting flowers if you want them in a vase. Even just one will actually suffice. But if you're planting them in containers, something to think about is that you want fairly good drainage. Of course, when it's in a container, it's maybe not getting as much water as perhaps like if you're planting it in the ground. But the same principles hold, giving it some ample drainage, planting about 6 inches down, and you don't want to crowd them out too much. I mean, I might be able to fit like 5 in here. Probably 3 is more like it. I like to go with like odd numbers when I'm planting in containers, but we'll see what we could fit, because typically they want to have about 12 inches apart from one another. So like a little triangle might actually be fine. And you might feel like, well, that's not a lot of plants at all, but you'd be surprised. These things actually like really take up space. Now, as far as the container goes, these lilies are actually hardy to our zone. We're in zones 5, 6, and there's a hardy from zones 3 through 8. But since this is out of the ground, you might actually want to store your containers or take your bulbs out. But I would say store your containers or maybe roll them into like a garage or something so that they don't get so much frost. But I might again also try to leave them out and see if they're hardy enough. But so here's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use some primarily Espoma's raised bed mix. You could use their regular potting soil as well, but I have this like on tap. And then I'm also going to mix in some organic vermiculite. So I have a separate video on our sister channel, Plant One On Me, about the difference between vermiculite and perlite and the different qualities. And some of the qualities are overlapping, but with vermiculite in general, it holds on to water a bit more while still maintaining drainage. So it gives a bit more of that coarser material. Now I'm gonna go all in on this raised bed mix. And I don't know, I might need another bag just to top this off. Seems like enough. I'm gonna open up the bag of vermiculite. And I'll use this as the place where I mix all this up. This vermiculite is a bit finer than what I'm used to. So you could get some vermiculite that's actually relatively coarse. But I'm just gonna mix that in here. So again, it's great for moisture retention, but also letting the water flow. Now Now these won't actually bloom until June, July. So you might actually decide to plant some other plants in here in the meantime. This gets too much sun here for something like, oh, I would say ferns. Ferns actually go really well with lilies because they have a bit more superficial roots and you could plant kind of around. So what I might do is after I plant these lilies in here, because they won't bloom right away, I might try to find some other plants that could look good in the meantime. And then you could do layer planting like that. And this is obviously like really nice friable soil. I mean, one of the things that you could work with when you're in doing container planting is that you don't have to like deal with maybe heavy clay soils or wet soils. So I might have to get another bag of this. I went with the smallest Corten steel container, but look, it's just like, it's pretty deep. Okay, I think this is a nice depth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some of these bulbs here. And I would say, yeah, 1, 2. I am going to go a little denser. This is about 14 inches across. I would say 3 would be due, but I'm not going to do any other lilies in here. So we'll try a denser version, and then I have another one of these on the other side, and I'll probably do 3 or 4 in that just to kind of see what looks better. All right, well, I'm gonna get some more soil and put that in, and I'm gonna also, I almost forgot this, I do want to fertilize these. So I'm going to use a little bit of bulb-tone and sprinkle that in here. It's good to fertilize them in the springtime, and then you really don't need to fertilize them after that. You know, next spring would probably be the best time you could top dress it with a fertilizer. And then I'm going to put mulch on top because it does get hot here. This is, without saying, this is metal, so this will actually also heat up. So you should water it in pretty thoroughly, and I'll get the hose and we'll actually water this in. And I should say that the deck is going to be replaced here, so you can probably see the deck is in kind of dire straits at this point. So we're not going to be doing too much planting on the deck. I have to like hold off on that. But yeah, so here we go, fertilized it, and I'm just going to get some more soil to top it off. All right, so I got another bag, and then, you know, Sandra actually had a brilliant idea of taking some of the foam that actually came with this. So this is an EPS foam. We measured this. This is about 3/4 inches. This is another 3/4 inches. And this is about 1.5 inches on this side. So you could actually layer potentially 2 of these in here, even 1. But it would be about an R5 value. The reason for that, he recommended, is that perhaps that would kind of insulate the bulbs a bit more, so it would kind of keep the heat out, but then also keep the heat in. It wouldn't overheat the bulbs, it would just insulate it. So that's another option. I don't know if that's like typical or not, but we might actually try this on the, where did they go?
The mallard is in the tree.
Really?
You see it there? I've never seen a mallard in the tree. Like
no, I have not either. That's so crazy.
Take a photo of it real quick. It's a long lens.
So it's definitely nesting season around Flock. We have a mallard sitting in a tree right now, and I just noticed that it's trying to find a nesting spot, like desperately. So I don't know why it's not choosing around the pond, but anyway, so I'm gonna put some more on top, and then we're gonna actually try this technique on the other side, and so we could report back on that and what works better if there's actually no change at all. So again, I just need about 6 inches on top here. All right. So I think that feels about right. And we're gonna just mulch the top. I would say 1 to 2 inches of mulch. So you could add that to your 6 inches on top like there. And then that way, if this starts to settle a bit more, I could always come in with some more soil or some more mulch. But I wanna make sure that this doesn't get too hot because, again, lilies are like the type of plant that want to be cool underneath and then hotter and sunnier on top. So that's what we're going to go for. So I'm just going to water these in, and then that will be our show, our bulb show, come June and July. Okay, so we're on the west side of the house. This is obviously enshrouded in shade right now. It's not always like that. In the afternoon, it gets a little warm, so it's like, it's the antithesis of the east side of the house. But we just put in some of this foam right here just to demonstrate how we're gonna be testing this out on this side. And again, I put this this fiberglass drywall tape in here as well. And so we could actually put this on the side, 1 or 2. I think we're gonna try to put 2 in here, and then we'll just try to fit this in. It's a little persnickety, but you can make it work. And then you might wanna actually cut it, so depending on where you're gonna put the soil. I planted the other one a little lower because I think what I'm gonna do is plant probably some 4-inch plants around with the lilies, because otherwise you're just gonna have like, you know, bare soil until those lilies actually pop up. So I might plant some like draping plants that will drape over this. One thing I should also note about this Corten steel planter is that if you have pressure treated wood, which actually we do, it could react with the pressure treated wood, with the metals in the pressure treated wood. So you might want to actually put this on a different kind of base. We're swapping out our deck soon, and we're going to get one of those kind of technical plastic wood decks. So there's going to be less ability for it to interact with the metals. But that's just something I wanted to bring up for anybody who has pressure treated decks, because it's so common. But obviously, if you go with a different kind of planter, like terracotta or fiberglass or anything like that, you're not going to have the potential interaction with the chemistry that's in the pressure treated wood. So this is one way that we're going to be planting it up, and we'll actually, you know, test it out and see if one side of the house bulbs do better than the other. Obviously, they have slightly different conditions, with this being on the west and that being on the east. You know, if we were to test this fully, then they would probably be on the same side. But we're not doing any kind of scientific experiments here. But that's what we're actually going to just test here in on our home. So that's basically it. We're going to wait until June and July, see those crop up. But I think they're going to look so perfect color-wise with what we have. That melon and salmon-y color of the chocolate event lily is going to look really good with the pollinator garden, which has those kind of peachy salmon pink tones, and that dark maroon shade is going to look really good with a lot of the red-leaved Acer palmatums and some of the other red-leaf plants that we have around here. So that's that, and we'll just have to be patient and wait to June and July to see them. The garden is changing rapidly now that the season is warming up, so stay tuned here for progress reports. And as always, your support of the channel is appreciated. 10% of our Google AdSense revenue is being reinvested back into the Finger Lakes community, and that's matched by our partners over at Espoma Organic. Happy gardening, and we'll see you in the next episode.